5 years ago, it was a sex scandal. This time, it's generous public salaries to family members that could bring down the frontrunner in France's presidential race. A week after the story broke, French weekly Le Canard Enchainé revising upwards the sums paid to the wife and two of the children of Conservative primary winner François Fillon. Whether he can hang on after a week of, well, what many people think is a dismal damage control efforts is the pressing question. More broadly, will there be a before and an after PenelopeGate, like there was a before and an after the Strauss-Kahn affair? In France, hiring your wife and kids as your parliamentary assistants is legal. 1 out of 5 lawmakers do it, in fact. In this case, prosecutors trying to determine whether Fillon's brood did any actual work. Are these practices from a bygone era further proof that ruling elites are out of touch? Maybe, but please include in those elites the far right's Marine Le Pen, who's refusing to reimburse the more than 300,000 euros from her payroll as a member of the European Parliament. Among those on staff, her personal bodyguard. In a year of insurgents, will French voters shrug it off and vote for her anyway? Who's an insider? Who's an insurgent? In the era of Brexit and Trump, we'll see why France's presidential race could boil down now to a contest between two candidates who are both outside of the main center-left and center-right parties. Today in the France 24 debate, France's PenelopeGate. With us, Charles Becbédère, Conservative Municipal Councillor in Paris's 8th arrondissement and entrepreneur. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening.
I want to thank as well Laura Slimani, spokesperson for Socialist presidential candidate Benoît Hamon, a municipal councillor in the city of Rouen.
Hi.
Émeric Merlot, regional councillor in the Pays de la Loire for the National Front. Thank you for being with us.
Good evening.
And Paul Moreira, who heads TV production company and press agency Première Ligne. Welcome back to the show. The France 24 debate, where you've been weighing in on Facebook and Twitter, hashtag F24debate. Can he hold on? That is the front page headline in French broadsheet of record Le Monde. François Fillon, who huddled with lawmakers and asked them for 15 days to clear his name. His alternate, who replaced him in Parliament, answering police questions over François Fillon's wife, Penelope, her employment. Le Canard Enchainé sold out at lunchtime in several newsstands in Paris, the French equivalent of Private Eye, calling Penelope Miss Moneypenny as it picked apart the story he's been spinning. Now, meanwhile, as a different tale on the cover of tomorrow's Paris match, 36 years of love, 1 week in the heart of the turmoil, just to give us a sense of that particular story. But again, it's a question now of just how far the scandal will go. Solange Mougin has more. All right, we'll try to go to that report a little bit later on. Charles Becbédère, he says he wants 15 days to clear his name.
Yeah, well, of course. He also said that democracy was in kind of danger at the moment. He's the frontrunner for the largest right-side political party. He was still several weeks ago by far odds-on favorite to win after this disastrous 5 years we just had with, on the responsibility of François Hollande from the Socialist Party. And now there is an incredible attack from...
He calls it a socialist plot, but newspaper reports we're seeing seem to indicate that those initial leaks may have come from within his own camp.
No, I doubt it. Probably, initially, some information came from the Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance at the moment is in the hands of the Socialist Party. And then went to Hollande, then to some advisors, then to Le Canard Enchainé. So we can suppose that there is a kind of a plot. It's true. It's extremely grave. Sorry, I can't find my words. We are really shocked because at the end, this François Fillon, what has he done illegally? Nothing. everything he done is legal. Now, is it moral? This is another story. But we are not in Sweden, see? In France, politics,
it's legal.
Things are not like in Sweden or in Switzerland.
It's legal provided that his wife did actual work.
Well, I heard Mr. Dre, who's one of the important leader in the other camp, and he said that this was legal. Even if his wife is only ironing at home. So now let's be honest. Let's stop hypocrisy. We are facing Pharisees and trying to kill a candidate that could win the presidential election. The last thing the left side has found to avoid this is this scandalous attack.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty pathetic to be trying to grab these kind of arguments and to bring these arguments forward now. First of all, I don't know who the information came from. And to be frank, I don't really care because the problem is out there and that's what you have to deal with now. So, I mean, who it came from and now saying it's a plot. I mean, I'm sorry, but, your candidate had to think about it beforehand about his own practices. And by the way, I just want to remind that he voted against the legislation that the socialist government did implement that now forces MPs to disclose who their money goes to. And this, if this had existed before, for instance, when the right governed the country, then we would have probably known about it earlier. So I mean, I think it's a bit of an easy thing, but I think the most important thing here is and what's most striking and what's more harmful to politics is the contrast between a candidate who keeps blaming social security, blaming solidarity in France, blaming assistance to people for, being at the center or at the core of at the root of all the problems that the country is facing. And at the same time, now we see the image of this party and of this person who gives privileges to his own, but refuses other people to benefit from solidarity. And I think this is very serious. And this shows the real face of your party.
Who's the
Speaker of the Assembly.
Speaker of the Assembly is
but his wife actually does work. She's every day in the National Assembly, so don't try to mix everything together.
19% of French lawmakers across the political spectrum employ family members.
Yes, but they're not supposed to be fictitious work. That's where the line draws,
Exactly.
How do you define fictitious?
600,000 euros for ironing shirts, as you
It's Mr. Dre that employs
sure,
that
but you voiced it again. So I think any French person who is struggling for a living and hears that you may as well iron shirts for 600,000 euros may be shocked.
It's
and then there's another thing I want to say.
But it's not illegal.
I mean, you have a simple line saying socialists have obvious interest in having Mr. Fillon into problems, so they must have leaked the information to the Canard Enchainé. I have another option. It may be Rachida Dati. She's a member of your party, and she tweeted like some weeks ago that Mr. Fillon better watch out because there is some kind of
there's bad blood over
hidden data that
internal politics within the party
come
between
out.
them.
And she was very angry at him for what he has done to her since the NKM issue. So it may be more complex than what you.
But who cares at the end of the day?
Émeric Merlot,
Exactly.
at this point in time, should the law be changed?
Well, I don't think it's that the law should be changed. It's not the problem that effectively people are working with their family. It's the case for many people in France, bakers or in whatever firm in which, for instance, the son get the company afterwards, and etc. etc. The problem is that it has to be done, and job has to be done. And for the moment, we have to say that Penelope Fillon just declared in October that she never had business with political business of her husband. So she has to prove that. But this is the legal problem. And I agree with you. It's also a moral problem. Because when you ask for people to actually make efforts so that the public money is well spent in your country, or when you want to fire 500,000 public jobs because there is too many public jobs, but your family is earning almost 1 million, because the suspense until yesterday was are we going to reach or not the million, like in the game Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And apparently, it's more than 1 million that his family actually earned. And I don't think it's fair. He also gave a job to his children. and they weren't a lawyer yet, contrary to what he said to the people during the media of the 20h of TF1. So I don't think it's very fair, and I think this is the issue. And I don't think François Fillon is contrary to what he said until now, the man who is very, very clear and with clear hands as well.
He leapfrogged the favorites for the primaries, Alain Juppé and Nicolas Sarkozy, running as the man of integrity.
Yeah, it's true. That was his initial launch for the campaign. And so I agree.
And it was a message that carried. He won 2/3 of the vote in the primary runoff.
It's probable that what he has done with his family is perfectly legal, and hundreds of MPs, left and right, are doing so in France. This is probably unfair. Is this a violence for normal citizens of this country? Probably. But then we should establish new rules, to answer your question, a new ethical code that everyone would fulfill, left and right. But at the moment, this ethical code does not exist.
There are rules already. There is law.
So, you can't employ someone if they don't do the job
Yeah,
for which you
exactly.
employ them. That's called fictitious. That's called, that's exactly why your candidate is being investigated. It's not because he employed his wife. It's because he employed his wife, and there's a strong suspicion that his wife was not doing anything and was just putting money into her pocket or into the pockets of the family. That's what's at stake now.
All right, now the question is
maintain presumption of innocence in this case.
You don't know.
François Fillon has asked for 15 days to be able to clear the air. 15 days may not be enough. Some conservatives wavering. France 24's Karim Yayaoui spoke to one member of parliament earlier at the National Assembly, a member of parliament who supported Fillon's primary rival, the former president Nicolas Sarkozy.
We're heading for a catastrophe. I've been saying that to my constituents. My colleagues have been telling me the same thing. No one's listening to us with regards to the presidential elections. There's now not a minute to lose. We have to take charge of our own destiny and not be governed by the timetable of judges or the media. François Fillon has the right to our respect and his claim of innocence. But our country has the right to recovery and improvement, and we have to act today.
Have to act today. Charles Begbeder, how many people inside of your movement right now share that view?
It's possible that some MPs are annoyed when they...
We've seen reports
this last weekend when they are in their municipalities by some citizens due to this extraordinary intensity of attacks.
Can he clear the air in 2 weeks? Can he clear the air in 15 days?
I think, I hope, but I think he also has stated, Mr. Fillon, that in any case he will stick to the until the end of this campaign.
No, he didn't say that. He just said that if he was charged, he will actually be stop the race, and this is a big issue because now he's making a judge republic. So what judge is going to take the responsibility of charging François Fillon now? Because he's actually, they will now...
because judges are named by the next president, is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not fair.
Paul Moirad, the three of the young Turks inside of the Les Républicains party have reportedly put aside name domains in case they have candidacies of their own in the coming days. Those were put at the end of last week. What are the options, though, really for
the Republicans?
Yeah, because we're less than 3 months now from the first round.
I mean, Juppé has already said that.
Alain Juppé, his runoff rival,
he won't go. So I can only talk about the names that have sprung up, but like Vauquier and stuff like that. But on which legitimacy? I mean, they haven't been elected by the primaries. I would think that normally, I mean, the most logical would be for Juppé to run. He doesn't seem to be wanting to do so. So then,
because he only won 1/3 of the vote in the primary runoff. It was a sound beating on the part of Fillon.
It doesn't seem like he could run. So I don't know. It's a major crisis if Fillon doesn't run.
Is there a plan B?
I don't think so, and there is no need for a plan B, because again, what has been done. Let's Mr. Fillon and his wife demonstrate that what has been done is legal, and then let's debate on the ideas and try to have a sane presidential election to make sure that the next 5 years, the reforms France are waiting for years are finally done.
Laurence Limani, May 2011, the Dominique Strauss-Kahn case breaks with him being arrested in New York City in a sex scandal. He was
for being accused of rape. Not exactly a sex scandal.
Yeah, point taken.
Sorry.
He at the time, it was all programmed by the mainstream wing of the party. He was going to be their man in the race. They had time to pivot. Instead, they had François Hollande. But there's always been this sort of air hanging over Hollande that he wasn't the man the socialists wanted.
I campaigned for Martine Aubry, so it didn't change much for me anyway, because I was not going to campaign for Dominique Strauss-Kahn either. But I mean,
did it undermine
I don't know
Hollande's?
if it made that much of a
Looking back
difference
with
in the
hindsight,
end.
did it undermine Hollande's presidency at all?
I mean, I don't think so. I think that what we have faced in this presidency is more than just the result of what Dominique Strauss-Kahn was accused of. I think it's more the result of the fact that when we have been in power, even though we made some improvements in people's lives, there was still the feeling in the left-wing electorate and in people in general that some of the major promises of the campaign were not fulfilled.
So it's more about his record than the
yes,
way
I think it's more
he got
about
the
what has been
nomination.
done in power than about Dominique Strauss-Kahn not running. And I clearly don't think, and I'm not part of the people who think that it would have been so much better had Dominique Strauss-Kahn been president.
All right.
I just wanted to say that as a citizen and as a journalist, I think that one of the main problems for me, apart from the wife issue, is the counseling company of François Fillon that came out during this investigation. I'm thinking about that because
He's still a
Dominique
corporate
Strauss-Kahn-
advisor.
Exactly. The company is called 2F for François Fillon, and François Fillon refuses to disclose what kind of job he was doing with this company. We all know that counseling is not. Nobody needs to be counseling. Counseling means lobbying, means having kind of deals on the shade. Dominique Strauss-Kahn was also a specialist of that. I mean, but I think that I'm talking on terms of transparency. What our democracy needs. I'm not saying that politicians should not be allowed to be counselors. Okay, they can do it. But then it has to be transparent. You have to know for which country...
We're going to pick up on this point because we have to take a very quick break.
All right.
When we come back, you're watching the France 24 debate.